The $22,000 receipt was still crisp in my pocket. I watched the wine tremble in her glass, a cheap Merlot, not the vintage I'd opened for the proposal, as she laughed, the sound brittle and unfamiliar. We were in the cramped kitchen of her friend's apartment, the air thick with perfume and false sympathy. It had been 4 days since the pier, 4 days since the elaborate, perfect night I'd planned for a woman who wasn't worth a second of it. "Honestly, Mark," she slurred, flicking her wrist, "it was just tacky. A hired boat? Fireworks? So basic. Everyone does that." Her friend, Chloe, a woman whose smile had always felt like a threat, nodded slowly. "Yeah, it lacked that personal touch, you know? You need to do it again. Something bigger. You know she deserves it." I felt the blood drain from my face, a cold, empty rush that always preceded my clearest thinking. I wasn't hurt, I was calculating. This wasn't a critique of an event, it was a performance of contempt. $22,000 was nothing, but the effort, the vulnerability. She hadn't even looked me in the eye when she rejected the ring, only at the camera flashes. "You're absolutely right," I said, my voice smooth, almost a whisper. I stood up, adjusting the cuffs of my suit. Chloe looked surprised. My fiancée, Sarah, just smirked, a cruel victory in her eyes. "You do deserve better, Sarah, much better." I kissed her cool forehead, a final, utterly empty gesture. "I promise, I'll make it up to you, something no one will ever forget." The lie felt like a promise, a contract I was about to fulfill. That night, I wasn't a heartbroken fiancé, I was an auditor. The first step was simple. I found the hidden phone, tucked beneath the false bottom of her jewelry box. It confirmed the whispers I'd ignored for months. Late nights, canceled plans, the sudden frantic need for privacy. Her texts were a grotesque mural of my blindness. Not just one man, 3. And the casual cruelty in her descriptions of me? The ATM, the mark. The pain wasn't a sudden stab. It was the slow, chilling realization that the last 3 years of my life had been a meticulously constructed lie. I didn't weep. I felt a terrifying calm descend. I had to know the full depth of the rot. I had the private investigator on the line before the sun came up. His instructions simple and direct. I needed everything: financial transactions, travel logs, and the proof of cohabitation with the one she called my real one. The evidence arrived at 4:30 p.m. on the day I planned my grand gesture. A manila envelope. Inside, a single photograph. Sarah, smiling genuinely this time, holding hands with a man I vaguely recognized, the owner of the catering company she'd insisted on using for my proposal. The betrayal was multi-layered, a masterpiece of deceit. She hadn't just cheated, she had woven the other life into the fabric of the one we shared. She had laughed at my expense with him in the background. My breath hitched, not from shock, but from the recognition that my strategy was now perfect. I spent the next hour speaking to a billboard company. I wasn't requesting a proposal. I was purchasing a public, unavoidable monument to the truth. The final, devastating move. The next morning, a soft, gray rain fell on the city. I was at the coffee shop, waiting. At 7:58 a.m., Sarah's frantic text arrived. "What is this? Mark, I'm pulling over. What the fuck have you done?" The billboard stood directly above the ramp she took to work every day. Not a grand message of love, but a simple, white text on black background truth, impossible to ignore. A single sentence of exposed deception. "Sarah, the ring wasn't good enough, but neither was the caterer, the lawyer, or the fake life. Keep the ring. I'm keeping my peace. Mark." I watched the text thread for 5 more minutes as her incoherent rage turned into begging, then silence. It was the most satisfying $22,000 I had ever spent. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had taken back the narrative, the control, the dignity she tried to steal. I closed the app, deleted her number, and took a slow sip of my black coffee. It was over. The cold, empty space in my chest wasn't a hole. It was a perfectly sealed vault. I was finally free of the lie.